What's up, guys? The engine is finally out of the car, and today we're going to be tearing it apart and seeing what kind of damage this thing has on it. So here we go, we got it on the engine stand, and here is the empty engine bay. So the hardest thing about getting the engine out of this thing was that the flywheel kept catching on the steering rack. You can see it scratching a little bit. So I just took the bolts off of the steering rack and it dropped down just enough to be able to get the engine out. So I don't know if you guys are gonna be pulling your engine soon, hopefully not, but that's a little tip to make it easy. So first thing I did, I pulled off the crank pulley with the good old Chrysler harmonic balancer puller tool. You can rent it out of Riley's and AutoZone because it's like $80 or something like that if you want to buy it new. So yeah, just rent it and return it and it's free. So now I'm gonna go ahead and take the heads off. I'm just gonna time lapse it just because I'm gonna try to knock this out kind of quick. And then once we get to the bottom of the end of the engine where you guys haven't really seen me do anything to it yet, I'll start kind of going slow and showing you guys, I guess, how to take it apart. It's not super difficult, that's actually pretty easy. But most of all, we'll see how damaged these bearings are from it losing oil. All right, so I got the heads off, and everything looks pretty good, like with the cylinders and everything. There's like no scoring or anything. I'll show you in a second. But I did find one thing. So after taking the cylinder heads off, everything looks like it's been firing correctly. It looks like very healthy, except for this one's looking a little clean for some reason, and I think so. I checked the plug wires because one of them was burnt at the track, so I was like, oh shit, did I just like burn another one? I think I've been running on 7 cylinders literally this whole time, and I just didn't realize it, which makes sense why I had like such little power when I did burn that one through, and I was actually on 6. Cause that's when I noticed like a big difference, but I think my car is actually faster than what I've been realizing, and I'm guessing it's a bad coil pack because that's the only one that's having issues. So I'll have to swap one of those out, which it should be pretty easy and pretty cheap. Yeah, that's just kind of interesting, honestly. So for the cylinders, there's a clean one that just been doing its thing up and down. It looks like there's a little bit of like heat wear on it. Yeah, I'm gonna hone it, so that's gonna all go away fairly quickly. Some scoring, but it's like crosshatch scoring. Just looks deeper than the others for some reason. Everything else looks good, or pretty good. Just like I said, there's just wear because this engine probably has like 140,000 miles on it. That's not that bad. Like that will go out with the hone really easily. I can't even feel it with my finger. It's probably like 1,000. Little, you know, that just rubs off. Yeah, everything looks actually pretty good on the cylinder. So just like rust, a little bit of like rust, if anything. I'm surprised that hasn't been like taken off from it running, but yeah, I'm excited to hone this and make it like brand new. I might even deck the mating surface for the heads. But so far, everything looks pretty good. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and like rip the oil pan off in the front cover and then the valley pan cover, just cause I don't have like electric tools and it takes forever to just unscrew all the bolts by hand. And yeah, that's one thing I really need to get. But yeah, I'm just gonna go do that really quick and then we'll get to like taking the crankshaft and pistons and stuff like that out, just because that's going to be time consuming if you guys want to really watch me unscrew like 20 bolts just with my fingers. So I got the oil pan off, and there is definitely debris in there. I don't know what the like orange sealant is coming from, but there is, sorry, There's metal. It's kind of a good chunk, so I'm really curious where this came from. Kind of worrying me, but I'm gonna keep taking everything apart. Hopefully it's nothing too crazy. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go ahead and pull off the timing gear and the chain, and then we'll start pulling the camshaft out, which is one of the things I'm worried about having scoring on from the excess metal in the oil. Okay, so let's take a look. The lobes look pretty good. I don't know if you guys can see that. I can't see the front of the camera. The bearing journals though look a little bit scored actually. Let me go wipe this off so we can take a better look at it. Okay, so as you can see, the bearing side is pretty scored up, which kind of sucks. The lobes are good though, so I might be able to take this and polish the journals and clean it up, and it should be good. But I'm gonna take it to school and figure that out. I think I know why though. It's tearing it up like that. So need some light in here. You can see the cam bearings are pretty shot. There's like no smooth material left on that. Those are completely destroyed, which kind of sucks because I'm gonna have to get those replaced, and I don't have the tools to do it myself, so I'm probably gonna have to pay some money to do that. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Like, that's definitely why the bearings are getting eaten up. Or the journals, sorry. That really sucks. That was one of the things I was like really worried about getting destroyed because I can't do it myself. We have the tools at school, but they're like really old and crappy. And we tried to put cam bearings in a 350 once, and that tool just literally scratches the bearings as you put it in. Like, it's stupid. I'm not gonna try to do it myself and ruin them, but it shouldn't be too expensive. But yeah, kind of sucks. More stuff I have to buy. So now I'm gonna start popping all the pistons out, and then we can take a look at the crankshaft journals and those bearings, because those are probably gonna be pretty bad too. So yeah, they're pretty scored. Focus on that. Yeah, you can see they're definitely not good anymore. These are the rod bearings. So I'm about to pop the #1 piston out. These wrist pins look pretty dirty. I'm gonna probably, I'm not gonna use these again. I'm gonna try to get flat top 4.8 pistons. Curious on the gap of these rings. I'm gonna take one out and set it in later and see how it actually lines up, to see if the edges, I don't have a feeler gauge, so I won't be able to measure it, but I can see if it's actually still squared, to see how out of round the bore actually is. They definitely are scored a little bit on the side too, but that's honestly probably because they're so old. All right, I'm just gonna do a quick time lapse of me getting the rest of the pistons out, and then we'll go over everything that I see, and then we'll rip the crank out and see how those main bearings are doing. All right, so I have all the bolts out in the main caps. I'm gonna start pulling everything out. Now, if you ever take a bottom end of an engine apart, it's super important to make sure your main caps go on exactly the same direction and exactly the same order. Most of them are labeled. If you don't do that, they won't line up right. And the same thing goes for your rod bolts on your piston rods. Because when they machine them, they like bore it out a certain way. So if you flip them or something like that, it's not gonna be lined up, and it's gonna not have the crank spin the way it wants to. So, get all these bolts out. I got the first main cap off. I totally forgot about the little side bolts right here. But here's probably the worst damage on this engine so far. So, these are like really deep grooves, like a couple thousandths of an inch at least. They're probably more than that. And the crankshaft is pretty much done. That's pretty deep. So I'm gonna have to buy a new crankshaft. Luckily you can find these for like 50 bucks. But yeah, I can't polish that out. It's too big of a, there are too big of gashes in it. So that sucks, but yeah, this is what I was preparing for. Okay, so the engine's all apart. I have everything laid out. Let's go take a look at all the damage because there's quite a bit. The worst, it was the main bearings on the crankshaft. Yeah, there's like really deep grooves. Like I showed you, the worst is on like the #1 side, and then it gets a little bit better as it goes back, and then it gets kind of worse again. I don't know, maybe more oil gets to the center. I'm not really sure. But yeah, I'm gonna need a new crankshaft. They're done, or this thing is done. And the bearings were destroyed, just like I thought. But yeah, I'm just glad I saved the cam because this was a little more expensive, at least. But yeah, so basically the plans I have are, I'm not gonna end up boring it. I don't wanna take the time and spend the money to do everything, even though I can do it for free, but I'm gonna have to buy the pistons and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna run 4.8 pistons that are flat tops, so I'll be at about 10.5 to 1 compression versus 9.5 to 1, along with milling my heads down, like 20 thousandths. So that should gain, I think, like probably about like 6% horsepower, so maybe like 15 or 20. And I might do some machine work on the heads, just depending on how much time I have left before the semester ends. But yeah, this is what an LS engine looks like, completely taken apart. All right, so I'm gonna pretty much take all this stuff into school, or little by little, start cleaning everything and hone the block and do the machine work. But other than that, that's all for this video. I'll probably try to film some stuff at school. It just depends like what my teachers let me do. But yeah, so subscribe because this thing is gonna try to, or is moving along quick, or I'm trying to keep it going quick. And make sure you leave a like for my destroyed bearings because yeah, it's sad, they're gone. All right, I'll see you guys next time.